everyone, today is January 23rd, 2023, and I read Psalm chapter 71 to 75. I actually read this passage on Thursday and Friday, but both those days I had a lot of trouble just discerning what God wanted to say to me. And so I read it again today on Monday, and it just was perfect for the day. So I'm really excited to share that out with you guys today. I had a really hard day at school today. It wasn't just because I was tired or I was in a bad mood. It's nothing like that. It was because I was just bombarded with the wrong worldly standards and ideals, and it just drained me so much. It was about like abortion and gay rights, and it was like outright persecution towards Christians, and the whole day I just had to sit through that, listen to that, and internally decide like what is the right thing for me to do as a Christian right now in the moment. And when I came home, I honestly cried because I was just so frustrated, angry, and also really just sad. Because everything that people were saying at school, it was so wrong, it was so non-biblical, but the fact that they actually believe that as the core of like their morals, it was really just, I don't know, I had to pray to God a lot today. But there are verses throughout today's 5 chapters that just further encouraged me, and so I just want to walk us through all of this and really just talk about it today. The first set of verses that stood out to me can be found in chapter 71, and I just want to read that out. It says, "For you, O Lord, are my hope, my trust, O Lord, from my youth. Upon you I have leaned from before my birth. You are he who took me from my mother's womb. My praise is continually of you. O God, from my youth you have taught me, and I still proclaim your wondrous deeds. So even to old age and gray hairs, O God, do not forsake me until I proclaim your might to another generation, your power to all those who come." Like I said, I went through a lot of emotions, but the major ones were frustration and anger. I kept on asking God, why did you place me in an environment like this, in such an ungodly, unholy place? But these verses here reminded me that this time period of my life has meaning as well. God had plans for me long before my birth, and these hard circumstances doesn't mean that God is forsaking me right now. And this further made me think, then why am I going through things like this? And the very last verse where it says, "Until I proclaim your might to another generation," really just allowed me to think that this is yet another opportunity for me to spread God's truth to whoever is curious. And one way that I could do this, although I can directly talk about it, when the situations aren't appropriate for that, I can really show that through my actions and through loving and caring for even those sinners that just have the wrong ideals. The next verse comes from chapter 72. It says, "For he delivers the needy when he calls, the poor and him who has no helper. He has pity on the weak and the needy, and saves the lives of the needy." I know God hears my prayers, and he knows how I feel. And although I don't know how he's going to deliver me from situations like these, this verse really allowed me to stay hopeful, and I really hope and pray that God provides me with that Christian community, even in public places like schools. The next verse comes from chapter 73. It says, "But when I thought how to understand this, it seemed to me a wearisome task, until I went into the sanctuary of God, then I discerned their end." It's always a mystery, and it's always a question of why God has me go through things like this, but this verse reminded me to continue to pray. That's the only way I can directly communicate with God and seek his will. And although we don't get a clear response back to him in the moment, I know that prayer is super powerful, and this verse again encouraged me to keep on praying. Now, the last verse comes from chapter 75. It is so short and simple, yet it ties everything together. It says, "At the set time that I appoint, I will judge with equity." I really like the word equity here. It reminds us that at the end of the day, we're all just simply equal sinners. And the only difference is those who have received God's grace and those who have not heard of it yet. And so my mission in life is to bring as many people to God as possible before that judgment time, and that final just judgment is up to God, and I am no one right now to judge those around me. I shared so many verses out with you guys today, but that is it for today's journey. It was really encouraging for me and it was very much needed, and I hope that it did the same for you guys too. I thank you all so much for joining, and I'll make sure to see you guys again tomorrow with the next 5 chapters. Bye! Thank you.